Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various win for the Far East 9-hole cup. A mix of the Shiruba Springs, Sakura Hills, Gokasho Bay and Yongsan Gardens here in Golf Clash the game. Before we take a closer look, make sure to hit the thumbs up button if you like the video. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that do want to take an extra step in your game to become a better player, scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Tour guides and tournament guides for all levels, and you can start as low as $1.50. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have an eye on that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Number 1 of the Sakura Hills, we are going to play ourselves up towards a short iron. Here I'm playing with the quarterback, and the reason I'm playing with the quarterback is to allow myself a good accuracy whilst I'm pushing this ball to get as close to the green possible. Also, the curl with quarterback is actually fairly decent even in the lower levels, and that is to compare to the other drivers such as lower level extra miles and Thor's hammers and stuff like that. All the curl that I can after the adjustment, max plus a 10, and all the side spin that I can as well, because the closer we are to the right hand side of the fairway, the closer we are towards the pin. Second of all, we are going to do a short iron towards the pin. Now check where minimum distance are, where maximum distance are. I would recommend to try to have the first bounce on the green. Ball guideline needs to be short, as we do not have a fully developed ball guideline with our thorn, and that is something we truly need to have in mind. 10% elevation through club distance means that you again check where min club is, where max club is, and then you make an educated guess what type of club distance you play from. And obviously if you do have any frame checks or a pin check or something like that to follow, that's going to be better. But if you have nothing, that's the way to attack the pin. Now, ball guideline was slightly short of pin, almost too short, and we're getting ourselves the eagle here on hole 1. For Shiruba Springs, hole number 5, we are going to play with our quarterback, trying to lay up short for a sniper rough bump. The reason I do believe that the sniper rough bump is better than pushing for a long iron is due to the fact that we usually have the long iron in a very low level, and then the ball guideline will not be reliable, the accuracy is often crap. Therefore, the sniper, even in a lower level, will be extremely valuable on a par 4 like this. Max plus 5, playing with a quasar ball to ensure that I'm not gonna go in between clubs on the approach as well, as it is a P1 ball. Here we are safely down the fairway, looking to get ourselves to around 300 yards obviously. Second shot, we're once again, as I said, playing a rough bump with our sniper, checking where max club are, checking where min club are, and then we're going to make a decision or a guess based off that, and then adjust from. So yellow ring by the rough line, ball guideline slightly through the hole. The reason I'm having the ball guideline through the hole is due to the fact that the green is slightly uphill and we don't want the ball to lose speed. No elevation, and you can see here now that we're pulling down pretty heavily down into the bunker. It's very easy to over adjust this shot, which will happen more times than not, as reading the elevation here will become a bit difficult. So we bounce into the rough, rolls up on towards green, and as you can see here now, we're making an over adjustment, which is something we have to correct and play less the next time. And the reason the elevation here becomes so difficult to know what to do with is due to the fact that sometimes we do not pull down into the bunker, sometimes we do pull up towards the green, and sometimes we just pull straight to the left or to the right, and all of that is going to make a different elevation, because we're gonna go from either staying at the same height, or we're gonna go to a higher position, or we're gonna go to a lower position, and all of that is difficult. But again, from a tournament perspective, make sure to get the right elevation before you go in, and then a perfect ball will be very close. On the drive here on hole number 3, we can either play left or we can play right. The important part with both of the sides is that you need to get the ball past the trees so you do have an open view towards the pin. In this instance, with the wind coming left to right, I value to play on the left hand side, this as it will give me more or less a straight tailwind on the second shot, and I believe that's easier to play in instead of going on the right hand side, which would give me a more or less a straight crosswind. So that's kind of how I'm trying to think here, but obviously it's all about what you feel comfortable with. The left side fairway is a bit more narrow compared to the right side fairway, and also the left hand fairway take you slightly closer to pin on your second shot, whereof on the right hand side it takes you a little bit further away. So there is good, there is bad things, or pros and cons with both of the sides. Simple drive, max plus 10, a little bit of backspin, a little bit of side spin, and we are at 312. Now, second shot, we're going to play with our wedge. And here I say once again, play with a wedge that gives you a good ball guideline. Obviously a good accuracy is very helpful, so for those having the possibility to play with the end bringer it's definitely in a big advantage over others, because you can see me here now. I do aim accurately, I do adjust accurately, but I do hit great. And with such a low accuracy, not low, but semi-low accuracy on the Firefly, it will end up missing where a great ball should be missing. And that is obviously something we can't really say much about. That's just how it is if we can't hit perfect. But hole number 3 offers a good chance for an eagle. For Sakura Hills, hole number 8, we're going to play with our quarterback, and we're going to make sure that we have the thorn packed as well, because the second shot's gonna be a shot needed a lot of backspin, and therefore packing the correct clubs is going to be super important. Max plus 10 is the adjustment on the drive, max side spin, and we're using a little bit of top spin as well. Curl to the right with a slight amount of overpower. Again, we're trying to push this ball to the right a decent bunch without rolling into the rough. Now you can see that we are getting very close to roll into the rough, which is not what we want, so we should have taken down the curl and a bit. Because there is no reason to push it that hard that a great ball should be risking going into the rough. Now I'm using the thorn to have my first bounce on the green. I'm either going to do a dunk or I'm going to do a max backspin shot. It's all down to what you believe would work the best for you. If you're going for the dunk, as I'm doing here in the video, aim with the blue arrows at the back of the cup. Make sure to not use all the backspin here. The reason for that is if you hit the pin, using max backspin will make you fall down into the bunker always. So therefore I'm using a very little amount of backspin, so when I do hit the pin, I'm not going to fall down into the sand. A perfect adjusted dunk will give you a good chance for an eagle from distance. Otherwise you're going to miss and you're gonna sit yourself for a birdie putt. But the backspin shot can also be played by aiming to have the tip of the ball guideline to be past the pin, then for the ball to roll back into the hole. It's up to you what way you want to play here on Sakura Hills, hole number 8. For hole number 5, Gokasho Bay. Here I do see it being value to play with a power 5 ball. This to ensure that we are getting ourselves over the rough, even if we do play with a lower level club. And in the end, XML level 6 is not a low level club, but it has very little amount of topspin. So by using a driver that do have a higher level, gives you room to use more topspin, and therefore you can then play with a different ball and don't have to waste any of the berserkers. But having to lay up on this one is truly not the best way to get an eagle, and that's why I feel there is tons of value in using one of the better balls to ensure that we're getting ourselves to do like this. Bounce on the fairway, either directly over the rough or to clip the rough and roll out. Be careful with the bunkers, obviously, but even if you would roll into the bunker, there will still be an easy save and still a shot for you to get the eagle. Now, again, like we talked about on hole 4, you can either do a dunk if you feel confident with that, or you bounce up towards the pin, or you do a backspin shot or whatever. 10% elevation through club distance, and for me that do have a secret love for dunking, this is a very nice scenario where I am very close to min line. And the beautiful thing with dunks is that you don't have to compensate for the wind push after the first bounce, as we don't have a first bounce when we go for a dunk because we go directly into the hole. But obviously, if you don't feel confident with that, bounce up towards the pin just as normal and get yourself the eagle. Hole number 7 of the Shiruba Springs. If you only have drivers with 4.5 topspin or less, then it doesn't matter what wind angle you have of tee. You cannot send it down the right hand side, which is the easy and the most common way to do it if you do have a good tailwind of tee in all the divisions. So then you have to lay up, and that goes as well if you do have any sort of headwind or just direct crosswind, you're gonna have to lay up as well. Max plus 20 with our quarterback using backspin, and the reason I'm using the quarterback is also for its accuracy to get myself to around 245 yards. From here we can use our sniper, and using the sniper for this rough bump gives you not just a good accuracy on your club, it gives you also a good ball guideline, so the chance of dropping this one from distance is actually pretty big. Ball guideline goes slightly through the hole if we do have some type of headwind component, because otherwise it's going to be easy to go short in line. 30% elevation, and it's again through club distance if you do not have any pin checks or fin checks to be able to follow. Adjustment is made, send to the ball and hit perfect, and we will at least give this eagle run for its money here from distance. But that's only if you do hit perfect. A great ball here, it's never going to be in, or let's say if you adjusted incorrectly, a great ball may go in, obviously, so we shouldn't rule that out. But it's a tough one. This is most definitely a tough par 4 of the Shiruba Springs, especially with the low level clubs. On hole number 5, we do have a short par 4 to play. If we do have a crosswind or a tailwind, we shall be pushing to try to get the ball over to the final fairway like that, and then we can definitely go for the hole in a we can definitely go for the pin. But now we're going to have to settle and play for the final fairway island and bounce ourselves up towards the green for a simple wedge. Obviously, having more topspin, apply a little bit more topspin, as 4.5 is a little bit on the low side when it comes to the extra mile. But this is the best driver I do have on this account. Maximum distance plus 10 is what I'm using here from front tee, and I would say playing this type of play, a power 5 ball may not be required, but in general I would say a power 5 ball will be very helpful to always have the distance to reach. Now we're over to the final fairway, and we will take ourselves a short and sweet eagle wedge, which we're gonna take a look at here in the end. So here I would say when it comes to the wedges, and I say this every time I do make a playthrough for those of you that are playing in rookie divisions, choose a wedge that do have a good ball guideline, because it will help you a lot in doing shots like this, where we can do with the Firefly with all the topspin, but most especially helps you with knowing if you're aiming correct or not. Because having a very poor ball guideline is very easy to aim too short or too long, and that will make it come in short in line or maybe hot and hit the pin and bounce out. Now we have a good ball guideline, then the eagle becomes very easy. On Shiruba Springs hole number 1, we are using an extra mile here and setting up very far up on the fairway. I would, however, recommend to use a minimum a power 2 ball when we do have a headwind, because we do want to avoid having to go with a lot of overpower on the drive. It's just completely unnecessary, especially when we do have golf balls that do have more power. We can obviously use a power 3 ball also, and I mean, for those that do want to spend a P4 or a P5 ball, you can do that as well. Just make sure to play with a ball that puts you into a spot where overpower is not needed. Max plus 10 for the adjustment, using a slight overpower here just because I only have 4.5 bars of topspin and I want to push the ball at least halfway up on this fairway. 340 yards is there, and now the second shot is going to be a long iron to pin. And here, all right, here comes probably one of the few times here for when it comes to par 4s where, not few times for the par 4s, but my point is, if you do have a long iron with a better ball guideline, such as the Grizzly or the B52, then this shot will become so much easier, because here now with the backbone, with a pretty poor ball guideline, it's very easy to either come in too short or come in too long, or like come in too hot, and that's going to obviously have an impact of you getting the eagle or not, because this with a good club is a super solid chance for an eagle, but with some poorer clubs it's going to be a little bit difficult to judge the power. You can see we come in pretty hot and we take a 180 around the hole there on the right, minus 10% elevation through club distance. This is, again, doesn't matter what club you have, you still have a chance for an eagle, but it becomes so much easier if you have a better long iron, and with that I mean a better ball guideline on your long iron. Hole number 5 of the Sakura Hills, we are going to use the driver that gives us the most power possible when it comes to playing in headwind. If we do have a tailwind, we can come around by using a more accurate driver such as the rock or the quarterback. Now, power 2 ball is what I'm using, a katana, and I'm using overpower here to get myself to a decent distance. Sure, using a power 3 ball will allow you to use less overpower, but it could also risk going more in between clubs on the approach. 343 yards. Now we are using the sniper on the second shot. We're gonna be somewhere between min and mid distance, ensuring to have the ball guideline to go through the hole as we have the ball to roll uphill. And it's all about finding a good spot here for our first bounce, and that's the tricky part with this rough bump. And the thing you need to have in mind here is, like, if you do not fancy the rough bump, then you will have to go directly onto the green, because you don't really have much fairway to play on before the green, and then the Guardian would, if so, be the better wood club to use, that it has more backspin and will allow you to just aim at the green and have no risk of losing out on the birdie. But the eagle is most definitely going to be super difficult to get, so the rough bump is by far the best chance in my opinion, but you should definitely have in mind the Guardian if you do feel that those type of rough bumps that did being displayed there is not something for you. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division for the Far East and 9-hole Cup here in Golf Clash the game. Make sure to scan the QR code here on the screen, or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy for tour guides and tournament guides. You can start as low as $1.50 and become a much better player. Thank you once again for watching. Good luck in your Golf Clash game.